see, I mean, that's why I wanted to do this chat with you, because I think it's just such a common issue with business owners. And I can see that, and I mean, even hear it a little bit out of your story, Kay Lee, when you growing up. I mean, your family, like you've endured that, and seen it on the other end, and it's so cool that you're turning around and using that now to bless and really change other families. And I think the kids are probably the largest affected by this. And it for no other reason for couples to be doing this but for their children. And for them to see how the choices their parents are making is impacting them. And I mean, Robert, at the beginning of the call you mentioned growing up your dad was a pastor, and I think what you're like you've said, I mean, you're providing not just consulting and helping with communication, but you're helping in many ways pastor these couples and challenging them and discipling them in marriage and business. And unfortunately, that's, I think, oftentimes it's a missing ingredient in a lot of our churches, discipleship, and especially to business owners and especially wealthy people, because it's a touchy topic. For you guys, how do you stay? I mean, in the midst of this, you said it a little bit earlier, but how else do you guys stay in that sync and in that rhythm? I mean, you're together in this business, right? And working from home, and so I'm sure it's really tough for you guys to also live it out, I imagine. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. Before I answer that question, though, my dad is a pastor. I also saw there's parallels between my dad being a pastor and running a church as it was to her family being an entrepreneur.
I bet.
The sacrifice of the family came because of the call from God with the congregation. So the congregation came first and the family was last.
Yes.
So there's actually a lot of similarities. So 2.0 for power couples is actually going to be power couples in ministry.
Nice.
Because there's huge parallels. There's not a whole lot of changes we need to make in our program other than some of the verbiage so that pastors can kind of connect a little bit better. But how we do well is we're like what we talk about is we got to keep working at it. So a lot of times some of the videos that we put on, the little tips that we put on, or on our podcasts, or even on our own material.
See it. Sometimes we're going to do a video. Sorry, honey. Like, especially at the beginning days, we're going to do a video, and we would get into some kind of, what do you call it, honey?
Intense fellowship.
And then Robert's like, really, honey? Or we're getting on to do an interview, and he's like, really, honey? Right now?
Actually, before this call. There was good examples right before this call. She asked me, what do I need to know about them? And I go, seriously, we got 5 minutes. I go, why don't you ask me this like at least a half hour before? Anyways, so we always have opportunities to practice what we preach. And so I guess one of the good things for our marriage is that what we're doing, we have to stay accountable to what we're talking about. So to our clients and to what we're doing as we're talking on this. So funny story is, I told you, Ryan, before this, but it was almost about a year and a half ago is when we came up with this concept to test it out in a weekend workshop with some couples in business. And then it was last January is when we kind of did a pilot launch with some couples. We did the weekly coaching and all that. So the November, December before we kind of launched it, and putting together all the curriculum, all the content and worksheets and all that. And I'm sitting at my computer and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I putting together stuff for marriages? I'm like, what am I doing? This is not me. This was not on my radar. This is her. If anybody should be doing this and leading the charge, it should be her. But I'm here the one sitting, developing all this content. I'm like, what am I doing? And so all that to say is that, the Lord has a good sense of humor, and I'm the guinea pig of that. And so, but I kind of naturally, the way Lord presents the opportunity, just throws stuff in me, and he knows how I'm wired, is that if I see a problem, I want to solve it. And so the problem I saw was the disconnect between marriage and business. And so I said, we got to solve this. And that's why I told Kay Lee, I asked her, why don't we formalize this thing and be intentional about targeting married couples in business, and not just coach them when the opportunity arises, but actually let's start with their marriage and then flow into the business and do it in that order. In fact, I got asked one time, it was a Christian networking group, and she asked me, why do you start with the business or why do you start with the marriage before the business? I said, well, isn't the marriage more important than the business? And she smiled and she said, okay. I go, for no other reason than that, right? Yeah. That was the order because that was the most important. And so I guess, I know that's a roundabout way to answer your question, but we hold ourselves accountable because of what we have to do with our couples.
So I think some of the things we do is we have a weekly meeting. We go for coffee. Cool. And actually, you're good about that.
Monday afternoons, 3:30.
Yeah.
So if you want to catch us, go to Jones Coffee Shop in Pasadena, 3:30 on Mondays.
Nice.
And we'll talk about
a room for the meetings.
No, we should, huh? We should ask them.
We talk about what's coming up, where do we see things going, and just kind of strategize. Good. And then you're good about this too. Usually I'll try and do a date night because you need to get out of the house sometimes.
Yeah, working from home.
Working from home.
Yeah.
Different scenery, different pace.
Scenery. And once a month we'll take our team meeting to the beach. And so nice. We'll have an extended time.
Because we love the beach.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. The benefit of being in California, that's for sure.
Yeah, so a lot of it is really having that time, carving out that time to just be with each other, even though we don't have kids, but still we know it's that time when we're not just doing, but we're present for each other and we just talk. Right. And a lot of it's the business and stuff, but it's also dreaming, visioning, talking about the future, as she says. So just that time to really have concentrated time just on that. Because you'd think, especially because we don't have kids, you'd think it would be easier for us to be talking about those kind of things all the time. But we're just like anybody else, that we just get busy. Yep. And we're not always together. Sometimes I'm out meeting people alone, or she's out doing something differently. So we're not always together. And so, you just get busy, and then you don't have that intentional block of time to just talk about certain things. Yeah. And so having that weekly time to do that, I think, has been helpful for our marriage. As well as what we're doing now with this business. But I think people have heard us doing that. They said, oh, we should do that. I say, yeah, you should. In fact, that's what we encourage our clients to do. Awesome. Go have coffee or do something different. Have a block of time, get out of the office, get out of the house, and just talk.
And this kind of goes along with that. Is one of our visions is we want to go to Hawaii and work from Hawaii for like a couple months. So we can work and play because you can do it remote. So, so those are kind of like our dreams, visions, so that things we talk about in our meeting. And
I think that's incredible. I love how the business then can complement that. I mean, if that's your personal goals and objectives, and shaping and crafting your business in a way that allows you to help accomplish that.
Mm-hmm. It actually has formed the basis of our business model.